What? Here comes the tweet. You're going to love the way I tweet. I guarantee it. Oh my God, those bits are beautiful. We got Dylan. Oh, Zach Hicks is here. Wait, what do you got strapped on there, Zach? Wait, hold on a second. Bow! And we're live. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to Zach Hicks, our wonderful moderator, Zach. Zach's got his boots on. I hope are they your steel-toed boots? I hope so. I just want you freely exercising your right to boot here today. If anyone gets lippy, stick that size. I hope it's at least a size 11. Just right in the keister. Get him out of here. Get him out of here! God, sorry. It's so aggro. Guys, it's a momentous occasion. Leander. It's a momentous occasion today. CultCast 500. CultCast 500. I was hoping we could have something planned for this, but of course.
Like an on-time start.
That would have been a nice way to start. Shout out to Ulysses Martinez, who gives a very chipper, hey, I should have given that more gusto. CultCast 500. Let me just say this. I thoroughly enjoy doing the show with you two gentlemen each and every week. We have so much fun. If only you guys could hear the chat that comes before the show starts. We have a great time.
Yeah,
we just have a really great time hanging out together. I wish we lived closer so that we could actually we wouldn't hang out with each other because you guys are holed up in your houses, so that you don't get the vid. But it really would be fun to do something in person sometime, maybe another CultCast party or something. But it took us. What are we on? I think we're on year 9, Leander. I believe. I'd have to go back and look. I think that February 24th is our 9th anniversary. I'm pretty sure. And I hope you got some roses and chocolates ready for me. Something, I was expecting you to show up in a tuxedo shirt or something. But I feel like it took 9 years. But we finally polished it. It's finally worth listening to, worth watching. And I just want to everyone who's here now, we got some people here now. These are our hardcore listeners, our hardcore viewers. I just want to say thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here. Oh man, Natalie Sloan, I've been listening since the very first episode. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Natalie, thank you.
We've had a cavalcade of excellent hosts. So we had the delicious Buster Heine, rest in peace. We had Alex Tiny Hands Heath, who can only eat things like that, like a little rabbit, because his hands are so small. It's the only way he can get the food into his mouth. And
wow.
I call him Big Shot Heath now because he never wears socks anymore, and he wears like Italian penny loafers, and he's like got a shirt halfway unbuttoned. He's hanging out with Reckless from The Verge, and I can't stand that guy anyway. So, but it's just we finally figured out the formula. So I just want to thank everyone for supporting us. And let me just ask one small request while we're talking here, okay? One small request. Can I bring this up? Let's see here. I was looking at. I never do this anymore because, I just don't look at it very often. But I was looking at our reviews on iTunes. Oh, whoops! And there was one review that, actually I thought was it was fair. And I was going to bring that up here and see if I could get you guys to, why is this not coming up? To maybe leave a review for us on iTunes. If you haven't left a review for us on iTunes, please leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us out a lot. And I want to share a couple of bits of, there we go. A couple of bits of I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at here, okay? Where did it go? There we go. So now you guys can see. I'm in browser mode now. And we received some of this feedback recently, and I thought this was pretty funny feedback. So somebody left us a 2-star review in June, and they said, "Nostril noise." That's the title. I really wanted to like the show, but I can't move past the co-host's constant sound of noise breathing into the mic. Edit it out! With 4 exclamation points. And I was like, dude, if only he knew how much nostril noise I already edit out. And guess who the culprit is?
Oh,
He's in the top left of our square here, L. Caney. I don't know what you're doing. You got your
Oh my God.
You have incredibly.
What's he talking about?
Wow, I was terrified there for a
Really?
minute.
I've got nostril noise.
Dude,
No,
you breathe so loud into the mic. Like the very first thing I do when I'm editing the show is I go in, and anytime you're not talking, I bring your level way down so that we can't hear your rampage.
Well, you're kidding me. 9 years, and this is the first I've heard of this.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as bad before. I feel like it's gotten worse as we've done this show. Like it keeps progressively getting worse. I don't know if your nasal passages are like shrinking or something, but you need some like Flonase or something. You gotta get those things open, man. You're not even that close to the mic. I don't know why the nostril noise is so loud.
That's so weird. That's the first I've heard of it. No one else complains about it.
Yeah, well, your family's all used to it. So if you guys are listening to this, if you're watching this, go into iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and say best nostril noise on iTunes. And just make up some kind of 5-star review about how great the nostril noise is, and you wish there was more nostril noise. Like, I love the nostril noise. I wish the other two hosts would contribute their nostril noise because it's really just missing from the show. And let's see if we can bolster the reviews with a counter to this.
Yeah, make it a feature, not a bug.
And the other thing I want to touch on, and I think this is actually fair criticism, is somebody said that the YouTube ruined CultCast. And, I realized that when we went to, I realized that when we went to the video format, the show did change a little bit. I completely acknowledge that because now we have like a visual element that we didn't have before. So we're working on it. We're trying to be more descriptive so that people who are listening, because, most of our audience is audio. And we're trying to be more descriptive, and I try to keep that in mind so that you guys don't feel like you're missing out on anything and that you're still getting the same show. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. I do think that's fair criticism. So we're working on that. But anyway, in honor of our 500th, if you have not left us a 5-star review on iTunes, please do that. We really appreciate that. That's it. So should we go ahead and get the show started? Let's go ahead and cue up you know who. Where is she? There we go. Mrs. D. Woo! Mrs. D, it's 500. Oh, you don't say. I've made a cream pie just for you. You just put your face in it, and you'll have smooth and luscious skin. Well, I appreciate that, Mrs. D, but we are actively losing viewers as you speak, so we need to get this show on the road. Let me go ahead and cue up the music. I'm ready when you are, old bean. Old bean. I like that. Cheerio. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get everything ready to go here. I got the music queued up, and we'll get this show going in. You just completely interrupted my flow. What happened?
All I see is a bunch of big gray blocks on the screen. I can't. What's going on?
That fix it, Lewis?
There we go.
Oh my gosh, Lewis has had to interrupt the stream just to tell me that. That's okay.
Sorry.
Here we go. In 2. Hello and welcome to CultCast, the best 30+ minute Apple conversation you're gonna hear all week long. I'm your host, Aaron Laz. Joining me today, his many Apple books have warmed the hearts of thousands of Apple fans and the fireplaces of thousands more. He's the founder of CultMac. Later, Katie is here. Also with us, when his fists aren't pounding away at the keyboard, you'll find them pounding at the midsections and chests of CultMac writers who aren't typing fast enough. He's the managing editor of CultMac. Lewis Wallace is here.
Yeah, just always punching. That's right.
I heard you like to go for the kidneys. Is that true?
Yeah. You just gotta find, the tender spot.
Tender spots. No wonder CultMac is just cranking out the articles. You have a way with people, Lewis. You know how to motivate people into doing their best work. You're like the Oprah of the Apple world, helping people do their best work, live their best lives.
Well, yeah, and I'm all about positivity now. I just read a review on the thing saying, the podcast, I'm too negative. So, it's all going to be positivity from here on out.
Yeah. Well,
yay!
You're going to be Mr. Sunshine. You can say, I'm positive that if I ever find the person who wrote that review, I'm going to show them how I treat the CultMac writers. They're going to be eating slop in the CultMac pen, cranking out articles. All right, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We officially started. I'll just say this one more time. I know because some people didn't catch the official start. It is episode 500 today, and I'll probably include some of the pre-show in the bonus material so that you guys can hear the conversation that we had. What?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, not all of it. Dear Lord, not all of it. just the parts we can put in there without getting banned from iTunes. I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us. And if you have not yet left us a iTunes review and you want to do that, we would deeply appreciate that. You could go in and comment about the wonderful nostril noise that you always hear breathing into the mic.
I'm really
that would be great.
self-conscious now.
That might be a good thing.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It might be a good thing. Okay, so what do we have going on this show? So much stuff. So we're going to talk about M2 Macs. We have a new report. It's a mini report that they're right around the corner. And you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, dude, what happened to the M1X Macs? Well, I mean, stay tuned. We can talk about that too. If the M2 Macs are right around the corner, guess what's coming next? Guess what's coming next, buddies? So we'll talk about that. We've got some stories here on right to repair. Now, I know a lot of people find this topic to be boring, but I actually think this is really interesting. Woz voiced his opinion on this week in a YouTube video, and it looks like President Biden, I think, is going to be signing something that will have the FTC making rules to allow right to repair. And if you don't know what right to repair is, we'll just talk about it. This could radically change the way technology is made and your right to repair the stuff that you get, because so many things are just glued together. So this could be an interesting development, not just in the world of iPhones and Macs, but across the entire ecosystem of technology, like dishwashers and washing machines. I mean, you name it. Also, we are going to talk about HomePods a little bit because there's an update that's out that you need to hear about if you have a HomePod, because it could actually brick your HomePod entirely. And if we have time, let's see here. Where are we at right now? I'm looking at Apple stock right now.
Just don't look at Leander.
Oh, baby.
There's more. I'm looking at the reviews, and someone's gone on about rasp breathing.
The problem
One
is
of the hosts
fixed.
rasp breathes.
Well, now you're going to be a mouth breather. I'm not sure which is worse.
The host rasp breathes like a yeti throughout the episodes. Unprofessional and unpleasant.
So for those of you listening, Leander looks like he's got about 8 squares of TP shoved up each nostril now to address his serious nasal noise issue. You know what? I'll let you know if this works when I'm going through and editing the audio, because I never have to lower the volumes for Lewis. My volumes are always fine. It's only ever yours.
And the window. Now I'm already self-conscious.
You know what you should get is one of those breathe right strips. You know those things that you put on your nose that like open up your nostrils?
Like the swimmers wear?
Well, no, they don't close it. They open it. Yeah.
I don't think they're recommended for swimming.
No, they're definitely not. They're not recommended for any water activities for sure. So we'll do an Apple stock update if we have time here at the end. For those of you that don't know, I have over $100,000, well over $100,000 worth of Apple stock now, and Apple stock is at an all-time high. I cannot believe it. It has been on a rally for the last 2. I haven't even been paying attention to it. And then all of a sudden I looked and I was like, holy moly, it has been going up like crazy. So we'll talk about that, and I'll tell you exactly how much my stock is worth. Oh yeah, we just beat the all-time high. Before we do that, I'm going to send it over to managing editor Lewis Wallace to talk about the Cult of Macs store. And do you want to also plug the giveaway, Lewis? Because you could just do these all. Yeah,
like
just do
a
these
combo.
Just do a combo read here because they're kind of related, you know.
Okay, aren't they? Kind
Give me your best shot.
All right. Well,
come at me with your best shot.
Okay, the giveaway this week is the Collar Trek leather AirTag dog collar. And if you see, I don't know if you can show people a picture who are watching it, but it's really a kind of a beautiful looking dog collar.
Hey, wait a second, Lewis. Isn't
Yes,
this the same collar you were wearing in your Grindr profile picture?
Right. It's very.
I don't want those people finding me.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. the collar.
Yeah.
It
So put it on.
displays. Yeah, that was a little bit of an out of left field kind of a thing. The collar has a place where that you snap the air tag in there, and it
Yeah.
shows the air tag, so that if your dog gets away and somebody finds it, they have a clue that there's an air tag in there. They claim that they're the first company to do that, or the only. I don't know if that's true, but it is the only one I've seen, and it looks like a really nice collar. Nice and sturdy, nice lined. Looks like it'd be really comfortable.
It looks like it's like made by Hermes. It's
Yeah,
really beautiful.
It's a
Yeah.
fine looking dog collar, and so every week we got a new giveaway. You go to our website, you scroll down to where it says, it's really well hidden. It says giveaway. Just sign up. All you got to do is sign up for our free newsletter, or visit our page on Facebook. A handful of things you can do to rack up entries, and it's free to enter. And every week we give away something new. So if you got a dog, this is the week to go and be sure to enter the giveaway.
Or if you're like the owner in a furry relationship, this would be perfect for that too.
No comment. Oh my God, I just breathed in and I feel like I just insulted people terribly.
Yeah, you made a huge
Insulted
nasal
their
noise too.
senses. Yeah.
Keep the nasal noise under control. And then also store.cultamac.com.
Right, yeah, you go to store.cultamac.com, and one of the favorite things that I have in there to click on is there's a big picture. It says Apple accessories $30 and under. And if you go in there, you'll see all kinds of things. And as advertised, everything costs less than $30. There's AirPods covers and tips. There's iPhone cases. There's multiple kinds of AirTag holders and things like that. Some really nice leather watch bands, Apple Watch bands, like from Mifa and Carter Jet. All these great things are all these great companies. Have you seen those Elago? Like they have a little Mac shaped Apple Watch stand.
Oh, dude,
you slide
I
your
have
Apple
one of those
Watch in there.
Right,
Oh,
I have one literally
Those things
right
are
here.
So cool.
Yeah, they're
They're
great.
totally cool.
Yep.
They have all kinds of cool stuff like that. That's for Apple fans. AirPods cases that look like the original Mac, things like that. And there's just tons of great products in there. And you know what I discovered in there today? I didn't realize it's in there, and it's a bargain at under $29. It's exactly $27. It's a signed copy of Tim Cook, the genius who took Apple to the
Are you
next level.
serious? You can buy those on the
You
site?
can buy that for $27. It's signed by some homeless guy.
Yeah, Mr.
in
Nostril
San
guy.
Francisco. But
No way. Oh, Leander, you are seriously undercharging for this. This should be $100. I'm not joking. This should be $100. Are you guys seeing this? So you can go on store.cultamac.com and buy a signed copy of the Tim Cook book, signed by El Caney. Dude, Leander's got a cool signature. Look at that. Leander, I've never seen your signature before. That's really cool.
You should
actually,
probably handwrite a recipe in every one. Like for the
like a Tim Cook book.
Cook book. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a fact that I wanted to do originally.
turkey,
Like
potatoes,
a barbecue book. 'Cause it's
yeah,
from the South, barbecue recipes.
collard greens.
Mm-mm-mm.
Dude, yeah, Leander, $27 for this. For a signature, for an El Caney book signature, I feel like this is super underpriced.
Yeah,
Like, this
I
should
even
be
try
at
to spell
least-
my name right.
It only adds to the charm.
Also, if they use the CultCast code, which is CultCast, they get a discount even bigger than that. So what is it? 10%, 50%?
Yeah,
we keep failing to check in the week. Every week was the same thing. Oh yeah, we don't actually.
We'll say
know
20%. It's probably 2. I can check real quick.
Oh geez.
I think it's 10%, isn't it? Anyway, okay, so store.cultamac.com, store.cultamac.com. I cannot believe, and I can't believe that you have a signed version of the book in here, and that you've never promoted this before. I'm going to put this in the show notes too, because this is
I
like
was
something
shocked.
people-
I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was in there.
How long has this been in there?
Well, I know more than a year.
Oh my! See,
Gee
Leander,
whiz.
I forgot all about it myself.
you're way too humble. Yeah, you should have been promoting this thing. I mean, dude, that is a super cool artifact to own. Quite honestly.
Oh,
I
here
got a
we
really
go.
nice
It's gonna be-
review on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, why don't you tweet about them? God, I hate the word tweet. Sorry, that's negative. I love the word tweet. Maybe
Oh,
you
you got
should,
to send that review.
yeah, maybe you should get on Twitter and happily tweet about how you're selling these things for $27. And oh, by the way, there's a discount code. And wouldn't it be great to buy one?
I would raise the price. It needs to be at least $50. I'm dead serious.
can't do
It's a
that.
book. It's a book plus a signature. Anyway, we can talk about this offline.
Don't raise the price for at least a week so people who listen to the podcast get their chance to get one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you do, don't go in there right now and raise the price. I know you could do that. You could just log onto Shopify and just change it. Don't do it.
That would be a D-bag move. But I am serious. I think, and I'm not just saying this to get people to actually buy the book. The value is worth more than $27 for sure. I think you should raise the price. But yeah, do give it a week. So
it's a good book too.
Yeah, and it's also you get to read it if you want to, which is cool.
Okay, that picture of Tim Cook on the cover. Wow, that's a steely gaze.
Yeah, that's the picture. That's everyone. They ask you to think of something right before they take your picture, and he was thinking of John Prosser here. I think in this picture.
You don't want to see that look on anyone's face.
No, if you see that look on Tim's face, then moments later, two guys dressed in white outfits designed by Johnny Ive, two big muscular guys come up and grab you, and you're never seen from again.
A giant net.
Yeah, that's the steely look that you see as they drag you off screaming.
Net, like a big butterfly net. Yes, I just checked. CultCast, 10% off all products.
Boom. There you go.
All right.
So store.cultamac.com. Use code CultCast to
That's
get
the kind of crack research that makes this organization run like a top.
You think you're going to find precision like that at 9 to 5 Mac or the Verge cast? Get out of my face. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about M2 Macs. We'll weave this into M1X Macs because I know we're talking about those too. So here's the headline. Apple's next gen M2 Macs could roll out in early 22. Now, there's some things that we can distill from this story. So the M2 chip sequel in the inaugural Apple Silicon processor will debut in the first half of 2022, says a leaker who previously nailed details about the company's proprietary chips. The guy's name is Dylan DKT. He's on Twitter. Here's his tweet. Isn't it beautiful? And he's been accurate before about this exact topic. He has an 81.3% rating according to Apple Track based on 16 rumors, which is pretty good because if he had screwed up, his rating would be way lower because he doesn't have very many predictions here. So he says the M2 chip will be released alongside the upcoming colorful MacBook Air. Okay, this one statement says a lot. If this is true, it means that the regular M1, M2, M3 are going to continue to be the lower end processors for the consumer grade products, right? Because we were not sure if we're going to get an M1X or an M2 next, right? In the MacBook Pro, the 14 and 16 inch. Well, if this turns out to be true, then clearly we're going to have an M1X variant. And actually, let me pull up his tweet here. Let me see if I can get some information on this. Can I open this up? Oh, maybe it's right here. Yeah, so he actually said on April 30th, and he has this pinned to his to the top of his tweets. M1X is an extension of M1 and will contain more Thunderbolt channels. We've talked about this before. More CPU cores, more GPU cores, and greater power draw. The M1X will be featured in the higher-end Mac Mini Pro, Mac Pro Mini, the MacBook Pro 14 and 16, and a higher-end iMac. So we're still waiting for these machines to be revealed. And they will have the M1X. So the M1X is going to be the performance variant of the M1 chip if he ends up being correct, which leads me to think, okay, well, where's the M1X? When's that going to be coming? So let's go back to the original story here. And he goes on to say, okay, so yeah, he's expecting these to come in the first part of 2022. And I think he was saying maybe in the first quarter. I'd have to go back and verify that. So it might be in the first part. Well, in the first part, like, it could be in the first, few months. And if that's true, well, then that means we have a very limited amount of time between now and then for the M1X MacBook Pros to be released. So they have to be imminent, right? And we're talking about new M2 MacBook Pros or MacBook Airs, in January, February, March. Well, I mean, the year is already halfway over, more than halfway over. So we got to have the M1X variety in there sometime very soon. So it just confirms what we have already talked about before, is that the M1X variety chip is on the way. It's going to be here soon. And the high performance Macs that we've all been waiting for are also going to be here soon. And if you're waiting if you were thinking about getting a MacBook Air, at this point, I would say I would probably hold off. I mean, don't you guys agree? I mean, if the M1 or the M2 variant is going to be here in the next like 6 months or less, it kind of seems like at this point you would want to wait and not get the M1 variety, don't you think, Lewis?
I don't know. It's a pretty blazing fast machine. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it
Oh.
depends if you need a computer right now. I mean, as I've mentioned, I was using like a 2016 MacBook Pro, but apparently with a failing battery. And it's, this new MacBook Air is like completely better. I was a little bit put off by the fact it's only got 2 ports, but you know what? A simple dongle, and I got 5, 6 things. It looks like a rat's nest on my desk here, but it works just fine. It works great. It handles everything that that MacBook Pro did, and although I really miss the Touch Bar.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
No, I have. The Touch Bar to me was something that was like a cool idea, and I like the idea of it, but I don't use the laptop as a laptop, so it's useless to me, basically.
Oh, because you just leave it docked and then you.
Yeah, I use my laptop as a second screen, and I rarely go out and go anywhere and type on a laptop. And if I'm going to actually do serious work, I take a second keyboard so that I can be a little bit more ergonomically correct.
Wait a second. So when you take your MacBook Air places, you take a second keyboard with you?
Well, I mean, if I'm going to go, do one little simple task, no. But if I'm like going on a trip and I'm going to be working from a hotel room or something, yeah, I take a stand, I take a keyboard, I take a mouse, because
external
especially
monitor, takes his stand-up desk, he's got his office chair.
A lot of things, because it's easier, it's better. I've always liked it, especially with that old, glass-like. What was that? The butterfly keyboard, the one that felt like typing on glass. Ugh.
Oh man, my wife still has the MacBook Air with that keyboard in it. It is truly terrible. The scissor mechanism keyboard, the new one that they have, is so much superior. It feels like a dream. It's like I just go full on Stevie Wonder whenever I'm typing on that thing. It feels so nice under my fingertips. It's got just the right amount of give. You don't have to worry about the keys constantly breaking. The butterfly keyboard will go down as one of the greatest Apple debacles of all time. And they tried to make it work for 4 years. So it was 4 years, wasn't it? And
they finally did kind of make it work, didn't they? With that, they put a membrane underneath it. Didn't that kind of fix it?
I don't think so. It made the typing experience really mushy and gross, even worse than it was. And the keyboard is still loud, and I think that that debris still made its way underneath that membrane eventually, which is why they had to warrant the keyboards with the membrane for 4 years, just like they were for all the other butterfly keyboards. I think they did. So, yeah, the new keyboards are so much superior. And Lewis, I would say you're like 75% happier now. Like that one guy who said you're being too negative on the show, I was like, yeah, that's because he was using that old MacBook Pro or the old MacBook.
Well, I mean,
it
really
never worked. You're always in a bad mood. You're like, this thing sucks. Like it takes anytime I click a window, it takes like 40 seconds to load. You're a new you now.
I feel like I feel like I was training with like really heavy weights on my legs, and now I took them off and I could just sprint like a gazelle.
That's such a great visual. I just see you running free and you're just sprinting as fast as you can go. There's just nothing holding you back.
I'm just bounding through the streets of Bernal Heights.
Watch out for those turds. If you hit one with your foot, you're going to slide right into a pile of needles.
Or like watch out for the wildcats and the coyotes.
You guys got
somebody's house. Apparently, a couple of weeks ago, somebody's house. They went outside and there was like thousands of bees in the tree outside their house. It's full on Wild West out here in Bernal Heights.
Yeah, that coyote ran by my right by me the other day, and I was outside in the street.
That is wild. In San Francisco, where do they live?
They had to shoot a wildcat out of a tree. Tranquilizer gun.
A wildcat, mountain lion.
Mountain lion, right? Yes.
In our neighborhood, yeah, it's right around the corner from us. There's a couple of parks where they live.
That is crazy. People would always talk about, there's always the myth of, you got to be careful with your dogs and cats because a coyote will like come eat them. And I always heard people talking about coyotes in this area. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, a coyote's going to come get your cat. But then probably maybe 6 or 8 months ago, we were driving down the street and there was like this wolf looking dog running through the street. It was really thin. And we pulled up next to it. It was a coyote running up my street, man. It looked just like a wolf. And I was stunned. I'd never seen a coyote before. And I was like, dude, they were right. There are coyotes out here eating people's
They're making
dogs
a
and
comeback.
cats. And he was just, I mean, he didn't care that we were there. He was just kind of trotting
Yeah,
up the
right.
street. And I don't know where he went, but this area that I live in is pretty populated too. I'm like, where does a coyote live? And I guess it is eating dogs
In
and
a
cats for
den.
dinner. Dude, I wish I
we-
could bring him to my backyard and eat all the rats that we have in our backyard because my dog certainly doesn't do anything about them.
Just leave the door propped open. Of course, there goes all your chickens.
Yeah, and my freaking rabbits are always
Oh,
trying
your
to
rabbits.
escape.
Absolutely.
If I could express to you how often I have to chase a rabbit around the yard, those damn things get out all the time. And we were trying to figure out how they were doing it because we have them in this pen. And the walls are pretty high, and they kept getting out. And we were like, dude, we kept like fortifying the fence. We thought maybe they were burrowing. And every morning I'd come out. Where's Beauty? Where's Flower? They're gone again.
You need to get one of those collars for the rabbits.
That's actually
The
not a bad idea.
bunnies.
Lewis, can you send me one of yours? And, I'll put it on the rabbit. And so they've been getting very bold. And the other day, one of them just jumped over the fence, and that's how they do it. I was like, they're rabbits.
Well, they can just
they're great jumpers. And so it would like get on its haunches and then just go boing and just jump right over the fence and then run around the
How
yard.
many feet?
Probably, I don't know, probably 3.5.
Hmm.
And they just boom right over it. And then
Wow, really?
and then we were thinking that they left the yard, and then we realized they're actually burrowing right outside Cult Command here, right outside this door. There's a burrow, and they just, so as soon as they get out, they just go back there, and they're like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption. They're just building this little burrow. There's like a poster
Escape tunnel.
there's a poster of a sexy looking bunny over it.
Jessica Rabbit.
A
Huh?
And
Playboy
It's
actual
Jessica
bunny.
Rabbit. That's hilarious. and it goes deep now. Like, so whenever the rabbits get out, I tell my
better-
wife, I'm
you're
like,
gonna
you
undermine
got to
the
go get the
foundation."
rabbits out of that dang hole. I'm not sticking my hands in that hole. Like, I don't know what a
Yeah.
rabbit does when it gets cornered into its burrow, right? Like, it probably attacks you. So I'm like, you need to get your hands on it. Yeah.
You saw the Holy Grail movie, right?
Wait. What Holy Grail?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
No, I never saw it.
What?
Remember, Lewis, I don't like Monty Python because I think
How
it's
can
really not
anybody
funny
say
at all.
that out loud?
This is actually funny. You need to look this up on
It is
YouTube.
hilarious.
Okay, and what scene is it that I'm looking for here?
The rabbit.
The rabbit. Okay, I'm gonna look it up, and I better laugh, or else, you're not getting any slop for lunch or dinner tomorrow.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, rabbit tangent aside, they got out this morning. Actually, one of them, I don't even know where it is right now. It got away, and I was like, telling my wife, I was like, I'm about to make stew out of these rabbits. I'm so sick of chasing rabbits down, and one of them is black, and she always escapes at night, and I'm like, how am I supposed to find a black rabbit in the dead of the night in my backyard?
Leander's got the right idea. Get yourself a little collar for the rabbit. Put an apple air
Yeah,
tag
tag
in
on
there.
it.
That would
and,
actually be an absolutely hilarious story.
Yeah.
I should
and you
maybe I
video
should-
yourself. Do you have like do like a night vision camera of you stalking a rabbit outside in the dark?
Okay, I'm gonna be looking for those
Oh, it's
wascally
YouTube
rabbits.
gold, man. You're gonna be rich.
I'm gonna have a shotgun, a double barrel shotgun.
No, I'm
That's
telling you,
not
people
bad.
love
Wow,
the
you
giant
rabbit.
net. Get
Yeah.
a net. One of those booby hatch nets.
Actually, I do use things like that to catch. Like sometimes I'll take like a container, and then like lunge and like put the container over the rabbit so it doesn't sprint because they're fast, man. Like rabbits are super fast and they're good at getting away.
You could do like some DIY tranquilizer darts.
Yeah, with like
Load up like a Nerf gun and just
right, like one of those little tubes and just get it right in the neck. They are nice bunnies though. I don't want to hurt them. All right, let's
Yeah.
see here. We're way behind, so let's see
I
where
love
we
the way
go.
you say,
Okay.
let's get off the rabbit tangent and then immediately start talking about the rabbits again. And I just did it too. Okay, sorry, bye.
Okay, so let's talk about right to repair, Lewis. Actually, Leander, I'm going to you with this one. Big story this week. Woz talking about it, which we'll talk about here in a second. But we got a big story that President Biden might be creating some rules around this. Take it away.
Yeah, he's apparently Biden's going to direct the FTC to draft right to repair rules, which is a big change, big deal. So President Joe Biden plans to direct the U.S. Federal Trade Commission to create new right to repair rules that would affect tech companies like Apple, reports Bloomberg. So the rule will prevent manufacturers from limiting consumers' options for repairing products at independent repair shops or on their own. And the presidential directive is expected to mention mobile phone developers as an area for possible regulation. The FTC will be able to decide on the size and the scope of the order, so it's not yet clear how Apple might be impacted. Apple claims that allowing independent repair shops to work on Apple devices without oversight would lead to security, safety, and quality issues. Many of the right to repair bills that have circulated call on tech companies to provide repair manuals and easy access to device components for repair purposes. Apple does its own repairs in-house with at Apple retail stores and repair centers around the world, but it also works with authorized service providers to provide repair options. So these AASPs are managed by Apple and must meet Apple requirements, with some repairs and components limited. When right to repair bills began servicing, Apple also launched a worldwide independent repair program that is designed to provide repair shops that are not AASPs with genuine parts, tools, repair manuals, and diagnostics for performing out-of-warranty repairs on Apple devices. So repair shops have complained that Apple's program is too limited, and as it requires an Apple-certified technician to perform the repairs, which is actually available under a free program, and some parts are not provided to independent repair shops.
You know, what I think is most interesting about this story is not just that it affects Apple, but like I'm looking at this Mac Rumors comment thread here, and the very first comments with the most upvotes is, it's ridiculous when you can't even buy an OEM battery replacement. Can you imagine if you had to replace tires with OEM only, and if you didn't, a warning light appear? I'm like, have you ever heard of Tesla? No one can work on Teslas but Tesla, and yes,
Really?
you can put. Yeah, they're the only ones. No one even knows how. And you can't buy parts from Tesla. They don't sell parts to replace Teslas. You have to take it to Tesla, and so they get to charge whatever they want, which is why, for me personally, I'm like, I would never buy a used Tesla. Those things seem like they are a disaster waiting to happen. Like all the Teslas that are out there, it seems like for the most part, people own them under warranty. And if you have to pay to get it repaired, you have to pay to get it repaired. I mean, you have to go to Tesla and they can literally charge you whatever they want. And they make a lot of these systems, well, they're all proprietary. Now, the tires you can change whatever you want, but like all the internal components, you're not buying those at Les Schwab or O'Reilly's Auto Parts. You got to get them right from Tesla. So I think this is really interesting. And if these rules go into effect, this wouldn't just affect Apple. I would imagine this would be a sweeping change across the entire tech industry. Like, what about your Xbox? What about your PlayStation? What about your Nintendo Switch? What about your Tesla? What about your dishwasher? What about your refrigerator? There are all these systems that are built with all these proprietary parts, and if you want to get them repaired, you have to, especially without voiding your warranty, you have to go through some authorized repair agents and get the parts through them, or maybe procure the parts in some way. So this could be a huge sweeping change, and I just don't see. I don't know, man. I'm kind of two minds on it. Like, I really like the idea of people being able to repair their own stuff, but Apple does make a good point. If you have a bunch of people replacing parts in your phones or in your cars or whatever, how are they supposed to know? How are you going to assure that you're getting a quality component and a quality repair? And now this device is supposed to be under warranty by the manufacturer, and they don't know what you did to your thing, right? So are they supposed to warrant that work? So like, it makes sense from Apple's perspective that they do all the repair work or most of it, so that they can keep it under warranty. And what do you think about this, Leon? I'm just kind of going on and on.
Yeah, I think the warranty issue, is one of the issues that, like you said, that they're worried about. Like, if you get unwarranted parts or third party parts or defective parts. But I don't know, I mean, an Apple technician surely could, once they open up the device and they can see whether this is an OEM part or not, so, and then deal with the issue after that. So it's, it's a little bit of a straw man. I think more concerning is like the secure enclave and things like that. Remember the Touch ID button?
Yep.
Because it's tied to the hardware. When you first set up the device, it uses your passcode to create, to tie that to Touch ID to that device, right? Or something like that. So you can't actually swap in another Touch ID device because it ruins the security. Mm-hmm. This is why it has to be done at an Apple repair center or by someone who knows what they're doing. And I wonder whether, there are other, I think from the security perspective, that's the only thing I can think of that might, cause complications for these devices. Because you don't want to, remember those stories about those Chinese-made chips that were being put into servers with a built-in hardware backdoor, to that never actually proven, but there was a big scare story. Bloomberg actually got a big black eye because of this, because they published that huge report. Anyway, I would say that was possibly maybe a concern that, maybe some bad actors could put, phone home components into a component that gets put into your phone.
Yep.
And it compromises the security. I mean, this is purely theoretical. I don't know whether anyone can actually do this. I don't know anyone, would want to do this, but I would say that was a theoretical concern that, you might be worried about. Because, and that's not something you get with like repairing a car or a tractor or something like that, because, they're not running all your bank details through those devices. They're not so personal. I mean, iPhones and iPads, computing devices are so crucial to everything we do, and they do so many sensitive things that I think having an eye on the security of the hardware is something that you should be concerned about, that you should not necessarily be concerned about with other devices.
I mean, those are all great points, and that's kind of exactly what Apple's talking about, right? Is it affects how the device works. And to your point about that scare about how certain components were maybe phoning home, I mean, there was enough concern about that. I'm not super familiar with that story, but I do remember it affected drones, right? And there was enough concern about that the U.S. I think military organizations were refusing to buy drones because they didn't know what they were doing and they had no way of verifying what they were doing. So it was like a national security concern.
Right.
And I mean, I think that's a valid concern. If you don't know where the parts are coming from, you don't know who made the parts, and those parts are involved in sensitive security issues, it really could create a security concern or send your fingerprint away to a place that you don't want to have your fingerprint. I mean, there's a lot of biometric stuff that is stored in the phone that you wouldn't want someone else to have possession of. So it does create concern in those regards. And also, I just don't know how something like this would work. It's like, so is Apple going to be forced to allow other people to make components, aftermarket components for their phones like they do with cars? That doesn't seem to make sense. Or is Apple going to be forced to sell the parts to people? Well, then you still have the same problem because Apple will just charge whatever they want. So what does that solve, right? Like, oh, you want a new Touch ID sensor? That'll be $400, please.
The companies that I've been reading about, that are really egregious are people like John Deere, the tractor maker, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can't do on to repair John Deere tractors, and it has to go to the John Deere Service Center or one of their authorized repair centers, and apparently it's really egregious. Like John Deere apparently is really they really abuse this and have been very, very restrictive, and it's a big revenue stream for them.
Right.
And farmers have been fighting this for years. And farmers, of course, are very practical. A lot of them have workshops. A lot of them are quite capable of fixing the tractors on their own, but they're unable to. And obviously, there's finding a balance here. I think there's something to be said for having the manufacturer keep tight control on parts and repairs, because it does provide a better experience. But of course, that comes at the cost of the consumer. Where it's so restrictive. There's got to be a middle ground somewhere. And, I think didn't the automotive industry go through this years ago as well? I think there was a big trust busting in the 50s or 60s, I think, with the automotive industry tried to do this. As they were sticking to these kind of things, and there was the U.S. government stepped in and made it open. So there's a lot. You can get. I mean, there's obviously a great benefit to consumers you can go down to AutoZone and you can get all kinds of really cheap parts, can't you, for your car, that are really, really cheap, ridiculously cheap. And I think in most cases the consumer knows what they're getting into, because if you do a little bit of comparison shopping, you can look up the OEM part and it'll cost you $400. Then you go and get the knockoff part that costs you $40. You can tell that you're going to get a difference in quality, but you make a decision yourself, don't you? Do you want to get the more expensive one or do you want to save money?
Yeah, we got some people in the chat here, Streamline, saying even with cars, a lot of stuff is dealer only. Yeah, that's definitely true, especially if you own like a BMW. Good luck with that, bro. Especially like some of their parts are so proprietary, like the security aspects, especially like, I don't know if they do this anymore, but like with a BMW, if you have a key that has the battery dying, you can only buy that key from BMW because it has to be programmed in a specific way. And BMW, at least when I owned my BMW, they only allowed every car to have like a certain number of keys. I think the number was 10. And after 10 keys, it was like you couldn't get any more keys for your car because of security protocols that they had in place. Yeah, it's crazy.
How does that work?
Dude, it's a scam. That's why they call them the stealership, man.
What?
so that you have to like pay them and guess how much the key was? $350 if you bought it a new key because the battery died. It's crazy.
And I tried to replace. I think it was a water pump on my land on my. It's a 15-year-old Land Rover. So on my old Land Rover now, and the water pump was pretty cheap, and the actual procedure was was really easy. I had it done in an hour or so. But then when I'd finished it, I saw this guide online, and I said, "Oh, and now that you've done it, run this through the computer, and because you've got to register that component with the onboard computer." And so I'm like, and you have to plug in this proprietary computer into the vehicle in order to register this stupid component. I couldn't believe it. What a complete waste of time. So I had to get the thing towed down to my service provider, and he reprogrammed it for me, which is crazy, I thought.
Yeah.
So in other words, they have to have all this specialist equipment that most people don't have in order to complete the repairs.
Yeah, to even read the code to figure out what's wrong, you have to have like some special diagnostic machine to do that, and then to reprogram.
That's a lot easier
these
days. You can plug in a Bluetooth thing, to get those ODB2 codes.
Well, you can do there's different layers though of access, at least as far as I understand it. So like there are computers that you can plug in, but they don't necessarily have all the diagnostic information that would be available to like BMW or to Lexus or something. I mean, they have specialty equipment that they use to diagnose their own problems that you don't get if you just go buy a computer for $20 from O'Reilly's. Now, I think you can buy more expensive scan tools that might be able to address some of those things, but they cost like $2,000 to $4,000. Like they're really expensive.
Well, actually, the last time the Land Rover broke down, we were actually up in Washington, up in the Cascades, and
oh no, that's where you wanted to break down.
Oh my God, yeah! And I got there, and it was the check engine light, and it was flashing, and it was like, look up in the manual, and it's like, pull over immediately, do not move, the car, it's gonna blow up. So I took it to the local AutoZone, and they came out immediately. They got this code, and they said, oh, it's a sensor, like an air sensor, air temperature or something sensor coming in for the air intake. And to cut a long story short, all I had to do was clean it. So all I had to do was like pop it on.
Oh, thank God.
Spray it like a $6 can of sensor cleaner. They actually sell a can at AutoZone to clean this sort of stuff. Sprayed it, fixed it. Amazing.
Man, that isn't it great when that happens? I was having a problem with my oven. Like this button was not working. You have to like press it really hard to get it to work. And I was like, oh no, dude. Like this is right after I bought my house, and I was like, we're gonna have to get a whole new oven because this one button won't work, and you need this button to like actually make the oven work. And so I was doing some research, and people online were saying, oh, all you need to do is remove the connection wire from the back and then just plug it back in, and that fixes the problem. And I was like, there's no way that is going to fix this problem. So I took the back of the oven off. I pulled the wire off and just put it right back on it. It had like a little connector. Boom. Problem
there you go.
Fixed. It worked perfect after that.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't it so satisfying fixing something as well?
Yeah, it really is.
I get so much satisfaction fixing something. And in fact, I mean, that, the fact, what you just said, going onto YouTube, I mean, like there's nothing you can't find on YouTube how to fix something these days.
Yeah.
And we're in a kind of golden age of that, fixing stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've never had so much information available to you to how to do these things. So it's a big cultural moment, I think. Like a lot of people are doing their own repairs, aren't they? Because it's easy to get the parts. It's easier to get information about how to fix this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just go to ifixit.com, and they've got guides for everything. I mean, you can literally and all the guides are free. So, shout out to iFixit. Now, if you want to buy the parts or the tools, that's how they make their money, which is actually really smart. But yeah, they said they have 75,000 free manuals that you can use to actually like figure out how to repair stuff. I've fixed iPhones before too. And it's doable. I mean, depending on what's wrong with it, you could definitely do it yourself if you're handy. I also used a YouTube video to figure out how to replace a radiator in an old Honda Accord I used to own. That was pulling that radiator out of that car because I didn't know what I was doing. I just watched the YouTube video to figure it out. I was getting ready to sell a car, and I figured out that the radiator had a leak in it. I was like, oh no. Tried to fix it, couldn't fix it, and I was like, I got to get rid of this leak. And I watched this video, and I figured out how to take the fan assembly apart and pull this thing out. And as I pulled that thing out of that car, I have never felt more manly in my entire life. I was like holding it up like I was a victor of like a Coliseum fight. Like I just killed my enemy. I was like, I showed it to my neighbor who was outside. I was like holding it up like a trophy. I felt incredible holding that thing
And then
up.
threw it in his yard.
I said, take this and dispose of it for me. And it hit him in the head. Oh, man, it was such a great feeling. But anyway, so it's not just us that are fans of Right to Repair, and not just Louis Rossmann. We had the Woz. You know what? I'm always impressed by the Woz, Louis. I feel like Woz has been around forever, and he's a talker. We know he's a talker. We had him on the show that one time, but none of us could get an edge in word in edgewise.
I was just thinking about
you.
yesterday.
Dude, he just steamrolled us for like an hour. He just talked nonstop. Even like Leander kept trying to be like, No, Woz wasn't having that. He could have done the whole show solo, but he really is insightful. Like every time I hear him speak, I feel like he makes really good points. And he was talking about Right to Repair, wasn't he?
Yeah. So this was in a Cameo video. I wasn't even really familiar with that Cameo service, but I guess you pay somebody to ask them a question, right? And they do a video for you. So Louis Rossmann, this Right to Repair guy, asked Woz to say something about it, right? And the video's on YouTube now, and I love it because the very first thing he says is, "Hi, Louis. This is Steve Wozniak." I heard that, and I'm like, "What? Is he talking to me? How did he do that?" It's like some
Was
kind
it
of
like
magic
something out of the
trick.
ring, huh? Like some kind of weird horror movie.
Yeah, but so it's actually a really interesting thing. I mean, I read our article about it, and I was like, "Oh, gee, really?" But I sat down and watched. It's like a 9-minute video, and it's really cool. I mean, he talks a lot about growing up in the, I don't know when he exactly grew up, but he was talking about like in the 50s and 60s how you could just go and like every single piece of electronics you got came with schematics, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. You get a toaster oven, it comes with schematics about here's how here's how it works, here's everything that, and a lot of these things there's not much to them, right? Those things, but he was talking about how just a normal person could unscrew the back of their TV and pop out all the tubes and take the tubes down to a local repair shop or even like a grocery store and kind of look at it and say, okay, this is a 12AX7, and you look on the chart and there's like it tells you which tube tester thing to put it in. You plug it in and this is the bad one, and you replace it. And he really made that sound like so nostalgic and so cool. And he also talked a lot about like what a great feeling it gave him and other people, how empowering it was to be able to do it yourself and not be, bound by, well, I mean, now these days it's even worse, right? I mean, like, I've got a $400 TV set and something goes bad. Well, I'll just throw it away and get another one.
Yeah.
I mean, the giant piles of junk. I mean, things are more complicated than they were back then, obviously. I mean, that's part of the problem, right? I mean, all this stuff is so miniaturized. It's not like every single person can just has even the manual dexterity to pull off fixing it like an iPhone or something, but or the eyesight for that matter. I mean, I'm sure if I popped up off the back of an iPhone, I wouldn't even be able to see the parts. I'm so blind. But yeah, so it's a really interesting thing, and he came down on Apple a little bit, saying like, yeah, it's time to like really kind of embrace this right to repair. It's the right thing to do, and here's why, and I just found it a really enjoyable video to watch. The whole discussion of like how he talks about how he came to build the first Apple computers too, and how it was really like comes out of that kind of ethos of like doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said, what was he talking about? A teletype machine or something. It costs like 2 cars, and I didn't have the money for that, but I needed to build something, and I came up with a way so I could use my TV set as a monitor basically. And I don't know, it was a cool interview. I mean, I've read about stories about Woz all the time, but I don't know that I ever actually saw him talk or heard him talk or anything like that. And I totally agree. It was like he's like a jovial guy.
Yeah, he's a really like just fun guy to listen, to listen to. He's got a lot of stories, and he's very articulate. I'll post a link to the Woz interview in the show notes. Yeah, what?
He used to have a webcam in his office, and you could watch him work, and then you could contact him. I think email was the best way because he was so responsive to email. But you just want to send him an email, and I think there were stories about him holding up like responses. He'd write it on a pen and hold up to the camera so that people could see. Those are that was a few years ago, and he's not as successful as he used to be anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea, just to be able to see Woz in there. He's living his best life. He's just traveling and eating good food. If you ever follow his tweets, that's literally all he tweets about. Is like, I ate here for dinner and it was good. Now
he doesn't eat good food. He eats awful food. He used to eat at PJ Chang's.
Well, he eats delicious food. It's definitely not good for you, but it's definitely tasty. Dude, I love PJ Chang's.
Robin and had a burger.
All right. Well, I'll post that in the. I posted it in the chat. I'll post it in the show notes if you guys want to check it off. I'll just mention this HomePod story just really quickly.
Whoa.
It looks like people are complaining that the newest update for HomePod, let's see, software version 14.6 and the newer version 15 update for beta users are not just bricking HomePods, but they're actually causing hardware damage, which is crazy. That almost never happens.
How could that be?
I don't know. So I'll just, from the story, those that leave, okay, that could leave. Okay, let's see here. Let me start earlier. Recent reports suggest owners from the original HomePod should steer clear of devices version 14.6 and the newer version 15. It appears to brick some users' device configurations, and some HomePods become unresponsive while others rapidly overheat and see their logic boards fried. So maybe it's like going on some like infinite loop.
Yeah.
And frying the logic board, which is crazy. So I would hold off on installing that if you haven't already. If you have already, well, good luck and good night.
I read about this yesterday. I was editing that story, and I was kind of curious, like, oh, well, I wonder if I've already updated this thing. That version came out a while back, and if you have automatic updates on, I'm pretty sure it's already installed. But I couldn't figure out how to look at the version in the stereo pair. I think you have to unpair them to see what version you're running. My HomePod Mini is definitely running that one that 14.6, which is the supposedly dangerous one. But supposedly the HomePod Minis aren't affected by this problem. And what and again, this is anecdotal evidence from people on the internet, right? But people are saying that it's especially dangerous to people who have stereo pairs connected to an Apple TV.
Uh-oh.
Who do we know that has that situation?
Dude, if this brick... So what happens? I mean, if Apple releases a update that bricks your HomePods, they got to cover that. That's got to be covered.
And they don't make them anymore? They don't have any left?
That's actually a great point.
Here's
a couple of minis. Here's a couple of crappy minis that you can use.
It's crazy. I honestly, I was thinking about unpairing mine and disconnecting it from the TV, because that would be heartbreaking, wouldn't it? Just like, oops, man, it's fried and it's out of warranty, and
I would be. I
don't have Apple Care on that.
Wouldn't they honor that kind of thing if you did an update and it bricked it? I mean,
that's what I was just
saying. Make that good?
But
I mean, they may not make them, Lewis, but they've got to still be making them for support issues. They've got to. I mean, I would imagine they have to be. There's probably people who bought Apple Care for them.
Well, why? Why did they quit making them? I can't figure it out.
Well, that's a mystery. I'm not convinced they're done forever. I really am not. I mean, it's so bizarre they discontinued the HomePod, and yet they're still releasing updates for it, and they're also still pursuing the Mini. It just doesn't make any sense. I think the HomePod's going to be reborn in the future. I really do.
Well, the only reason I could think of why they actually discontinued it was they just needed to shut down that supply line. I mean, right? They just wanted to shut down the factories making that.
Or they didn't have the resources to keep supporting it or something.
Yeah, I think that it just must cost, they sold so few or something that it wasn't worth keeping the line up. But it's pure conjecture. I have no proof of that or anything. But and if that's the case, you think they got a million circuit boards sitting around just in a back room somewhere?
Well, they've got to have enough to continue supporting the product for sure. I mean, they may not be selling it at retail anymore, but they've got to have enough for support issues. They have to.
I mean, I suppose they could start making them again if they don't. But I mean, I don't know. Do they? Because do you think that they have a large supply of these because they were planning on a bunch of logic boards going out?
Well, they probably weren't planning on that, but
they better have warehouses full of warehouses, but a decent supply of spare parts.
It's a little shed out behind Eddie Q's house.
Yeah.
Oh man, from the chat here, Konath. He's working on his bingo card. He took a break to make a comment here. Wasn't the story that they grossly overestimated the launch?
Demand?
demand. Okay.
Demand.
Oh yeah, demand. And they still have launch stock, or they still had launch stock when they discontinued it. That's if that's true, that's crazy. That they still had launch stock. They were selling so few, and they overestimated it so badly that they still had launch stock. That's crazy.
That's what the story was, and then they ran out of the space gray ones, right? So, and I mean they didn't have them. So
wow.
Well, I don't know.
I hope they got some on hand, because if this fries my HomePods, I'm going to need a replacement stat, because I'm still going to be using mine. I have no plans on getting rid of them. They're outstanding. I still love them dearly. I still love my HomePods. They're so great. Okay, let's wrap up with this story. Let's just do a quick Apple stock update. I don't know if you looked at Apple stock recently. So Apple has finally broken out of its sideways pattern. So let me see if I can turn my camera on here so I can zoom again. So it's been doing nothing, just a whole lot of nothing for 6 months. It's just been going up and down and up and down and up and down. But overall, it's kind of been staying the same. And finally, we broke out, and it kind of happens suddenly. Like, I guess, it kind of started happening in June. And now Apple stock is, it just closed at 143.24, which is, I'm not sure, that's not the highest it's been, but it's very close. And it broke the previous high, which was 143.16. So it closed above the previous high, which is a great sign. And it got as high as 144 or something. So maybe this means that the tremendous fortune I have stored in Apple stock is finally going to be doing something. I was actually starting to lose faith. I was like, I shouldn't have done this. This is just doing nothing. Everyone else's stocks are going up like crazy. I should have invested in Doge. I should have put it all in Doge. Because if I did, I would have lost half my money and, continued on in my regular investing pattern where I buy high, sell low. But so for those of you that don't know the whole story, I think back in, God, has it been a year now? I think it's been a year. Last March, I rearranged some of my investments, and I put over $100,000 into Apple stock. And this was like right before it split too. So like I was riding the roller coaster all the way up. And I was hoping it was going to just keep going up, because my logic was, once the price comes down, it's going to seem more affordable. Everyone's going to buy it. But that's not what ended up happening, which is why you should never listen to me for investment advice. And it ended up just going sideways, just like this, like a wave for, 6+ months. So you could have made money in there if you were buying and selling, or if you bought low and it's worth more now. But it's kind of like it was worth the same amount 6 months ago as it was, 6 months later. So it really wasn't doing anything. Well, I was looking at my Apple stock last night. Let's see if I can pull this up. It's your portfolio. Let's see here. Oops. And let's see what I was up. So yesterday when I looked, okay, yeah, I'm still looking pretty good. So last March I invested, I had a total of about $100,000 in Apple investments. I had some previous investments that were already in Apple stock, and then I put more money in. So those investments, about, I guess, over a year later, are now worth, Lewis, you care to take a guess, Lewis?
Oh, I don't know.
Get to guess.
130.
Close. So as of this very moment, the market just closed. I'm at $133,711. So there you go.
That was pretty Price is Right good there, wasn't it?
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, can you see those numbers? There you go. And
wow.
you do look like one of those.
Can't read your bank account yet.
Oh, well, whoops.
Get a little closer.
There's nothing in my bank account. It's all in my Apple stock. And that's a total profit as of today of $32,280. So it's not bad. I mean, it's definitely not bad.
In a year?
$32,000, $280.
Yeah.
We lost Elkaney. What happened? You're frozen. Okay.
He's frozen in time.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't even worry about it. We're about to wrap up anyway. And yesterday it was worth even more. So today's profit, I'm actually down $1,240. So it's a little lower than it was yesterday. It looks like it's down about 1% today. So there you go. For those of you who have been following the Apple stock update and just were wondering where I was at, That's it. I'm hoping now that we finally broke the high that we're just going to continue up into that pie in the sky, into that deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up. Take it away, Lewis. Moving on up to the east. No, nothing. Okay.
I can't take my eyes off Leander. His frozen visage there. It's like one of those in memoriam reports when somebody passes on. Goes
It looks
up
like
and
you just got a notification that there's a hostile takeover from 9 to 5 Mac. They're coming in and they're taking it all. I just got the email. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. We've been going on for like an hour and a half. So thanks again to everyone who has been with us this whole time. This has been episode 500 of the CultCast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But if you want to come say hi, we're all on Twitter. I'm at Airfon. Leander is at L. Caney. Look at him just frozen there, so peaceful. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute out the conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening and for supporting us and for watching and for your positive, we need more nostril noise iTunes reviews. And we will see you guys next time. Is Leander still there, or am I going to have you do the nostril noise there, Lewis? Give me some of your best nostril noise. Let's hear it. That's pretty good. That's close. It needs to be slightly more high-pitched. Now you look like one of my rabbits trying to figure out how it's going to escape. That's what they look like right before they...
burrow mode.
Before they go into burrow mode. That's how I know it's about to get serious, dude. Rabbit's going to go to full burrow mode. Freaking dirt flying everywhere. R.I.P. I think we lost Leander, but what a time to go. Episode 500. He timed it perfectly. He took a big rip from the
full Puffco moment. Yeah.
The Puffco version 5 and
it's the Puffco peace out.
the Puffco peace out. He just took such a big puff that his spirit literally left his body and is flying towards the heavens.
Eyes rolled back in his head and he fell over backward in that fancy chair.
And went.
Fortunately, there's a concrete floor in those offices, so oh boy.
Fell over backwards and without one last. And then
I hope that the headphones protected his head.
All right, guys. See you later.